What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the After Action Report for Dark Dimension versus Wakanda. And that was a nail-biter of the game. I know both Troop and I have very different opinions on how the game was going for a number of rounds, where he was feeling he was on the back foot very early on, whereas I was feeling I was on the back foot until about end of round 3, early round 4.
Yep.
So, I mean, weigh in the comments below. Like, you tell us how like you guys watched it and how you feel about how everything happened there.
Yeah, what turn did the round turn around, right? So
yeah, because I'm really curious. So yeah, I'm gonna ask you the first question that I don't think I've asked you this for a little while. Your squad. Is there anything you would have changed? What you like, what you didn't like, all that sort of great stuff.
Well, so Wong did not take out Black Panther this game, so he's off the team now. He normally takes down big hitters.
Wong, you're cut.
Yeah. I definitely wish that I had Bullseye around for a couple of parting shots.
Oh
and
my
stuff.
goodness, Bullseye would have been a pain in my backside.
He doesn't love Flames of the Fall team, but he just loves hurting people, so it's great. But yeah, I want to strike Ulik and Beta Ray Bill. I felt like they both benefited from having a little extra power, and of course that means Dark Dimension for me.
I agree. I think I kept looking over and looking at how much power Ulik had, and just going, it's like, yeah, he can roll almost wherever he wants to be.
It's starting every turn with all my things cost 3, and I definitely have at least 3 power. Oh, feels really good.
Yep. And I will say, like, if it wasn't for the fact that Black Panther got an exceptionally good roll over here when he did his kinetic burst, like, Ulik probably could have swung the game in your favor.
Well, and I was concerned I was going to get hit with some more stuff and thrown into a truck, so I wasn't as nebulous about that. I thought Ulik was short to live on this earth, but I like Ulik. I like him a lot.
I think he's really interesting. We talked about this a little bit off camera. Neither of us really know where he's going to settle competitively.
Yes.
Speaking.
I think he's very different from other 5 threats. I think his mobility gives him... His mobility, and he has his throws terrain. I think on our boards, it's a little bit more valuable than on some of the tournament boards, maybe.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love how he can go from one side of the board almost to the other side of the board and smack people along the way if he wants.
Well, if you take a look at his, what's that ability called? It's
called his Crushing Leap. Yeah.
If you look at Crushing Leap, it's actually longer than a long move.
Yes.
If you look at Crushing Leap.
Yeah.
And because it has that range 2 place, it actually allows him to bypass some pesky terrain.
Yes. Which was huge when he jumped
up. If you look at over here, that range 2 place gets you right over a truck.
Well, and I moved up to the side of this building, size 2 up here, or range 2, and then just smash Black Panther. I'm like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's quickly talk about that, because I think that was actually a very pivotal moment. You came up, you did a lot of damage to Black Panther.
Yep.
And then the next round, you went over to the center of the board instead of finishing off Black Panther.
Part of me still stands by it. I think Dormammu is a centerpiece that needs to have attention. And there was a lot going on in the middle. This is where all the points were for the most part.
There was, absolutely.
But if I was going to do what I did with Ulik the way I did it, I probably should have followed up with him. And
I think you should have. I think that would have been game-changing because, one, it would have taken Black Panther down to injured.
Yeah.
You would have gotten a hammer on
Which was a bigger thing, which... I think he gets a lot better with an extra hammer. And,
seven dice builder.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It would have been really hard because at that point, he just starts rolling over here. Okoye, Shuri, they can't really stand up to those sort of attacks,
and
right?
The other side to it is his basic attack also has a wild push on it.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all of their stuff to try to hold points for you is now a little more tenuous. They have to spend an action to get back on points.
Yeah, so I think what happened is you kind of inadvertently put Ulik out of position.
Well, and I did that because I was going to use Dormammu, but going back, there's a good chance that I would have left him up on the building and the two of us would have fought it out at the end.
Now, something else you could have done is, and this is actually what I was thinking you were going to do, I thought you were just going to abandon the hammer over here and just go right down the gut with Ulik, Dormammu, and Wong.
Well, and so the actual plan was... it was supposed to be Beta Ray coming into the middle with Dormammu and Wong supporting from the back, and
I tied you up in a bad fight.
He got distracted in a bad situation, and
he got distracted by the fan service, and is basically what happened.
Now I will say that this list lends itself really well to Follow Me, and I didn't take that in favor of a couple of the marquee cards for these characters. I didn't end up using Dark Empowerment because I was literally like a half a inch off of where I wanted it to be to power up Beta Ray Bill, and then he got stunned and it no longer mattered. So
yeah, that stun was huge.
Yes.
We actually had to stop and just double check to make sure that we were doing that correctly.
Yeah,
but because the wording on both his
blessed by the All-Father,
and then the
Flames of the Fall Team.
Both of them, the wording is it's an additional power in the power phase, which means instead of gaining 1 power, he's gaining 2, and then he's gaining 3. But it's all one source, which means that stun brought him down to 1 power around, and that hurt.
Yeah,
that was huge.
And between that and Shuri just pushing him off the building that second time, he was kind of out of the fight, and he didn't really have a lot to do.
And that's actually something I've seen the conversation going around. Beta Ray does not like control. He does not like being controlled. He has a hard time coming back from it.
Well, and I thought I had kind of fixed some of that stuff because in addition to, okay, he doesn't like being controlled, well, he can also throw other people. He has control of his own, and with enough power, he should be able to do it. And as it turns out, stunned kind of fixes that problem for him.
I also think the irony is because whenever I pushed you with Shuri, I never did damage to you.
Yes. So I couldn't honor round and
couldn't
chase
even
after
aggressive,
you.
yeah. It's just,
I'm like, jeez.
It's one of those little moments, right? Like, it's just like, that's frustrating.
Yeah. But I love Beta Ray's attacks. I don't think I would take Scuttlebutt again. It's really expensive to do what he did, and I feel like I could have just fired off another Summon the Storm.
You dummied Killmonger.
Right? I did, but I feel like I could have dummied him with a bunch of other attacks too.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting card. I'm not a big fan of the fact that it has to target the same target.
Yeah, I think it might be better on someone like Scourge, maybe. But
I don't even think it's really good on Scourge because I think a lot of Scourge's attacks already go through and it becomes a bit of a win more type card.
Possible. And maybe it's great against like some of the big people out there that they have the wound sponges, as it were, like Hulk and stuff and She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, against them it's really good. Yeah, anyone with a wound pool of probably 7 or higher, 8 or higher, that's probably really good. Juggernaut, Malekith, Hulks. But overall, I like Beta Ray Bill. I think he needs support.
I agree, and I keep thinking about things like, ooh, what about Midnight Suns?
Give him Mordo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, give him Mordo. I think you'll have a lot of fun there.
Sad thing is, I think he would have done fine in your list because a little bit of dice manipulation would have gone a long way for him.
I agree. Beta Ray was actually on my short list, but then you mentioned you wanted to try him out, so I'm like, all right. Because, for anyone who hasn't figured it out, we share a pool of models here.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and say someone in this group paints a lot less than the other one. I don't want to say who.
We're not naming names here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about the other character that we brought out to play here. What do you think about Psylocke?
Psylocke did a great job in a lot of parts of the game. She was, that stun completely and totally ruined my character in every way possible. She had a great start with fire my bow from range 4, run up, and well, hey, guess what, guys? I'm now ready to do stuff with martial arts. There are so many characters where martial arts is kind of garbage, and she's not that character.
I don't think it's ever garbage, but it's like there's a weird window.
Yeah,
right?
there's so many times where it's like, oh, if you're in range 2 of me, I'm totally gonna have all these blanks. You never come within range 2 of me? Darn it. She has stealth. So that Dormammu was sitting 3.5 inches away from Psylocke, which meant she was perfectly safe. So it was definitely these multiple layers of protections that kept her in the game. And she's like, yeah, I'm in my lane.
She's the only healthy character at the end of this game, right?
Well, and she went out of her way. She won you the game.
I don't think. Unfortunately, her dice didn't really come through with some attacks on this game, so I'm not sure how we feel about her that way, but her martial arts, her stealth, as you were going at, they played a very big role in keeping her around.
And the stun, though, that was huge on
and it's stun before damage dealt, no less, right? That's huge.
If she has the actual big attack that drops a whole bunch of damage, so you get nothing for it. So I think.
And I'm going to say, at no point did I really feel she was power starved. Yeah. There was a couple instances where I wish she had 1 or 2 more power. But that was more on account of the fact that she had a couple builder attacks that really failed to do much of anything.
Yes, I think if she has I thought it was funny because I actually felt she had really good dice manipulation in this game. But
she has great dice. Actually,
I guess
one thing I wanted to try her in this with, and specifically in Wakanda, Because there are layers upon layers of dice manipulation.
100%.
She had 3 different layers of dice manipulation. She had the Wakandan leadership. She had Shuri's, upgrades?
Yes,
She had Shuri's upgrades.
Yep.
And then she had her own telepathic precognition.
Yes. Yep.
So theoretically, she could be re-rolling up to 7 dice in one attack.
And it feels good when you're like, oh, no, that's not good enough. Let's try again. Oh, and again. And I was like, soul crushing.
And I mean, it didn't happen in a lot of my attacks, but it happened in a couple key attacks that it got me through. And she just had all those layers, and that level of consistency was...
And I definitely feel like she's playing at multiple levels of the game. Now, the big thing is like, where's her home?
Yeah.
Is it X-Men? It might be.
Well, we're going to have a bigger discussion about that once she actually hits. Because obviously we don't know her cards or anything like that.
Well, and I was more thinking in general. Like, sometimes she should be splashed in other things. We were talking about Convocation before.
Yeah, I like her in Convocation.
I want to see, like, exactly where we line up. We also talked about... Shadowland Daredevil.
Yep, I like her in Shadowland Daredevil as well, because that's another layer of dice manipulation that she has on top of that.
Yep.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for Psylocke. I want to see what her cards look like at this point.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited by that. I think it's going to be awesome. But otherwise, I got to say, it's my first time out with Wakanda for a little while.
Yeah.
They performed well.
Yes.
Okoye getting dummied in round 1 was like, oh boy.
We the two of us have a little issue. Even when Okoye was her first run through and didn't have her card updated, we always felt like she went down like a chump.
I think this is the first game we've played with Okoye where she's lasted till the end of the game almost.
I think this is the first time she's lasted to halfway through the game. So the fact that she got all the way to the very end of the turn was kind of awesome. So. But
I really liked Honey Badger in this as well.
Yes.
I think Honey Badger kept creating a puzzle for you that you had to solve and deal with. And, well, let's be honest, Honey Badger tanked 4 attacks that would otherwise have been going elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think I should have made a couple of decisions very differently because she took attacks that she wasn't supposed to, and then... She was a better bodyguard than Okoye, actually.
To think that I almost spent the 1 power she had over here, like, wait, no, I need that 2 power. I need 2 dangerous to ignore.
Yep.
I needed that one because that saved my bacon.
Absolutely.
And then I wasn't even planning this at the time, but the fact that she was more than range 2 away from Killmonger,
yes,
which is like, because I totally forgot about your
obliteration. Right?
Yeah, your obliteration.
And honestly, like, if I had been thinking a little bit more about it, that's the whole thing, right? Even if she's not necessarily using every power all the time, the fact that you have to have your opponent be thinking about what she's doing is that little extra...
As my buddy Will at the House Party Protocol would say, it's a mental load.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's that extra bit of mental load, and when you slip up, it's like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, and I was ready for exceptional healing. I was not ready for too dangerous to ignore. So.
Now, mind you, I burned that a lot earlier than I wanted to, but
of course,
it was worth it.
I was literally trying to make you do it. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think that Shuri performed really well in this game. Okoye did what she was supposed to.
For once.
Like she held some objectives and then ran away for 2 points.
Yeah.
Like, she probably scored you 6 points, 7 points in the game. I did drop
I don't think she scored me that many. Because I think she only had a hammer for 1 turn.
You're right. So it's 4 points on this and then 1 point back there.
No, well, I didn't end up scoring that one because you chased her down.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Okay.
She got scored 3 or 4 points.
That's fair.
But yeah, the fact that she made Ulik chase her all the way down here, and Beta Ray failed to take out that. The big thing is that I put you into a position where you wouldn't be able to deal with all of my remaining characters on the board.
The devil's bargain, as it were.
Because if you had been able to force 1 more round, I was in a really rough place.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a really rough place.
I definitely felt like if I could stop you that round, I needed to attrition you the last little bits. And I don't know if I could do that, but at least it was a chance.
Beta Ray came so close to Psylocke. So close. And here's the thing. If you had gone stay Psylocke, right? All she's doing is contesting. She's no longer just taking the objective from you, right?
Yeah.
So that was huge. So you did come close. Like, here's the thing. I won, but you almost forced that last turn.
Yeah.
If a couple dice rolls had went slightly differently, because dazed, healthy, and then KO'd over here, right? Like I had Shuri, Panther, and Psylocke left.
Yep.
You would have been activating first once again.
Yes.
Next round.
Yeah.
No,
I wouldn't have been actually because if I went with Ulik last.
Oh, that's right. You went
So
with
you
Ulik.
would've
So
had
I
first
would have
round.
gone first, yeah. But still, I would have had 3 unhealthy people,
Yeah.
right? And Dormammu can pick people off kind of easily.
Let's be very clear. Shuri, she shoots Beta Ray back here again, and he doesn't get a chance to do anything in the game. So.
Yeah, so I think there was still definitely a path to victory, but it became more and more dice dependent as we
Absolutely.
went on.
And honestly, I feel like there was a greater chance of that as the game went on. Like, turn 2, you scored 4 points, and I scored 2, I think.
No, it was 2 and 2, and then it was 4 and 2.
First round. Yeah, and then round 3 was 4 and 0.
I kept you from scoring anything that round.
Yeah.
Because I made a couple of key dazes.
Yep.
I wasn't able to pick up all the hammers, but I made a couple of key dazes on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was...
But it was good. I really liked that game. It was a little frustrating with certain dice rolls, and
Yep.
I feel like you might have felt the same way.
Yeah,
but,
I think that's totally fair. Like, sometimes the dice will just kind of get under your skin, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, I think that is that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the game. Leave your comments below. Let us know what you thought about with the flow of the game, where you thought the tide was turning. And yeah, of course, just leave all your other comments. We love hearing from you. And if you want other ways to support the channel, go hit up the Patreon. It's $1 a month. You get all this great content for the year. And, you know, we really appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching. Happy wargaming.